Well, welcome back. Well, overcoming roadblocks in your life can always be a struggle, and getting through those roadblocks and progressing on to bigger and better things is what our next guest likes to encourage people to do. And in today's Mental Health Monday, we are joined by Jim Hjort. Jim, thank you for joining us again this morning. You were here last month, and let me just remind people, you are a mental health expert, a psychotherapist, mindfulness meditation instructor, and founder of the Right Life Project. So when we talk to you about some of the struggles of everyday life, you really know how we're feeling when we tell you these things, right?
Yes, absolutely. And I've been there myself, so.
You know, your story is a little interesting too, and I know last time we didn't talk about your story. Can you share a little bit about your story prior to, all the work that you do now with people, Jim?
Well, yeah, in my past, I was actually in the business world, and I spent about 15 years doing different types of banking and real estate related work, and was successful in it, and had a comfortable lifestyle, let's say. But really, it was very unfulfilling work, and I really wasn't very happy with it at all. And so nowadays, a lot of my clients are people in a similar boat. Some might call it a midlife crisis or something like that, where they've achieved a lot of the goals that society tells us are critical to being successful and happy. But once they achieve them, they realize, wait a minute, I'm really not that happy after all. So what have I done wrong?
And with your organization, Right Life Project, you say learn, grow, and do. And when we look at those three words, it's like, okay, that's what we need to do to keep going. But some of us have trouble progressing. We get to that one point and we think, you know what, everything's great. I want to take it to the next step, but we can't get there. What are tell us some of the points of how to get to those next steps?
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with motivation and with the techniques that you use trying to achieve your goals, and actually how you set your goals, what kind of goals that you set. That it's real fundamental. There's a lot of science around this actually too. So I think using some of the motivation research that we have to your advantage can really be a help.
So setting long-term goals, tell us, how do we strive for long-term goals, and how realistic should they be for us?
So the research is really clear on this, that over the long term, you should be setting your sights on intangible or intrinsically satisfying goals. So things like cultivating core values and qualities of yours that are inherently satisfying for you to exercise. So making use of skills that you have, or cultivating a value that you hold dear. These are goals that over the long term are going to keep you happy.
Intangible is the word that some people might get hung up on that right there. What do you mean by make your long-term goals intangible?
Well, the message that we receive from an early age as kids is that, if you achieve a high-powered career or a lot of money or material goods or power, that these things equate to success and happiness. The problem is that those are called extrinsic goals, in that they're all outside of you. And so you don't really have a lot of control over them, for one thing. And for another, once you do achieve them, the bloom tends to come off the rose a little bit. And the satisfaction that you gain from them tends to wane over time. Whereas intrinsic goals, things that are intangible, that are within you, tend to stick with you over the long term. You carry them with you wherever you go, regardless of what kind of car you drive or what kind of house you live in.
That's a good way of looking at things, because you're going to continue to keep striving and not just get stuck in that one place. Let's talk about short-term goals. What's important when you have yourself setting short-term goals? Some of the key points that people need to remember.
Well, so in that, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because there is a place for those extrinsic, tangible goals, and those are the short-term ones. Here's a good example. You know how if you're driving on a road trip, say out in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess in Nebraska maybe you don't have mountains, but let's say you're
A
looking
lot of
off in
country.
the a lot of country. Let's say you're looking off in the distance, the far distance, right? You might be driving for a half an hour and really notice no great progress toward that landmark.
Good point.
Whereas if you look right out the window next to you, you can see the pavement whizzing past. And so this is the difference between our long-term and our short-term goals. We need both. So we need to be oriented toward the long term. But then over the short term, we need to have a sense that we're making progress, because that is really what keeps us going. So you want to set some tangible, objective, intermediate goals that will help you feel that sense of momentum. And so then you can sort of leapfrog from one to the next until you get to that distant landmark.
You know, and I think as we're looking at these, you know, points that you mentioned on screen right now, that's all part of, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that's all part of the Right Life Project. You're going to learn, you're going to grow, and then you're going to do these things. So hoping we're going to get ourselves out of that rut so we can make progress, right?
Right, exactly.
What if someone isn't a goal setter? How do you get them to look at your goals on the screen right now? What do you say to those people?
I don't know. I don't encounter too many people that I can't extract the goal from, because everyone wants something, you know.
Right.
And a lot of times, again, we default to what we see in the media a lot of the time. And so people default to wanting a car, wanting whiter teeth, or this or that. And those are fine for the short term, but really what I try to do is help people connect with those qualities or values that they really hold dear. And those are the things that can really propel people to where they want to go, whether they know it or not right now.
Well, Jim, it's wonderful and inspirational, and we appreciate you being here and sharing those with us, and we hope you'll join us again soon. So thank you for Mental Health Monday. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And we'll see you tomorrow, friends. Have a great day.